Yeah, took a look at Alpha 3 with Temujin, the aka Tony, Montreal Alpha 3 player, competitive back in the day. That's just a fun game to just fly around the cast and do stuff, man. You know, you got a million, like, it was the.
There's a lot in that fucking game.
Yeah, you know, like, it was a time when, you know, Capcom would make a game and then they'd experiment with a bunch of ideas when they made the next version or the sequel, and then somewhere around the end, you would have the final version where they just Marvel versus Capcom 2 style throw everyone and everything in the kitchen sink at it. You know, and Alpha 3 is just one of those great games where you're just like, yeah, let's just pick anybody and anything and go nuts. You know, here's Sodom. If you pick him in Exism mode instead of kunai, or instead of size, he has katanas, because back in Final Fight, you know, his name was Katana, and he had like different versions from that game in here, like little fun bits and stuff. It's great. I really like Alpha 3. The only thing that kind of makes me sad is that they did so many wild, fun versions of that game that like are not the like all-time definitive in a way, because you had Upper, where it was like all the PlayStation characters and the New Warriors and Guile and stuff got added back into the game. But then you had the version like Double Upper and stuff where you got like Yun and Mackie and Eagle and Ingrid and so on. World Tour mode getting tons of updates as well. And the one that I always remember, you must too, is what we played back in the day at college, Hyper Street Fighter Alpha 3, that had Marvel versus Capcom ism mode and Darkstalkers ism mode, and like you could literally just
do whatever. Just do whatever.
Every single character with like you can pick a Third Strike-ish mode with parries in it. They went crazy on the choices there. Yeah, just a big celebration of everything, and it's unfortunate that version, you know, all that work kind of got lost and didn't get preserved going forward. But still, like,
reminds me of some of the talk I see about Street Fighter 6, where people are like, how come Street Fighter 6 isn't changing in the same dramatic ways that Street Fighter 5 did? It was like, well, Street Fighter 5 had to change because it fucking sucked and people didn't like it.
Yep.
And Street Fighter 6 came out like solid and people are happy.
There were system problems. Also, both 4 and 5, when they released, they said in interviews on release that they didn't want to intimidate people by having them pick a character and then go into a bunch of choices. So they wanted you to just pick the character and then go. And like, in the end, I think that's like whatever. Like, you're not like that's one of those conversations where it's just like, are you actually scaring anyone away, or are you just like artificially kind of kneecapping some fun choices that could be there? Whatever the case is, in 6, I'll say that you pick the character, you go in, and then you can do a bunch of shit with that drive meter regardless. You know, it's just up to you which one of these 5 or 6 things you want to do.
I think Street Fighter has like had a long history of that problem, and I think it started really, really, really fucking early, and I don't think they ever got over it. Because like, I love isms and I love grooves and I love Third Strike, but at the end of the day, the thing that stands out most to me over the entire history of Street Fighter is like, well, why would you pick Sagat in Super Turbo instead of old Sagat? Old Sagat's the one you want to play. And how almost every single game has had a fucking version of that. Like, well,
this is the optimal best version.
Why would you pick this fucking super? Why would you play Yun without Ganajin? What are you, fucking stupid?
And to be perfectly honest, I feel like this is a problem that applies to the weird Venn diagram person who is not very good or experienced with the genre, but also cares a lot about meta in other games. So if you're a brand new to this game,
that is not a weird person. That is like that is a crazy huge amount of people.
So the issue, I guess, that I would say is, if you are coming in going like, I care about tier lists before I really know anything else about the game, the priorities are not where they ought to be. And you're going to have a weird time going up about it, like trying to pay attention to what Daigo is doing as opposed to just, you know.
So we're okay at fighting games. I say we're okay, right? And I've been okay at other games, but like I feel like you are underselling just how many people walk into a game and go, who's good?
Yeah, 100%.
And someone just feeds them the tier list, and then they go, okay.
And that's
it.
And that's fine, right? But if you're getting into what you're talking about with like, oh, why would you ever pick Osagat? Someone that's not Osagat? Are you crazy? And that kind of conversation, I guess it's just like, what level? Like, what do we kind of play? Are we playing for fun here? Are we playing casually? Are you entering a bracket? Like, where are we going with this? If we're just kind of pressing buttons and having fun with it, I think the whole point of ultimately like why I do get into fighting games the way I do is to just be like, yeah, pop the game and press some buttons, like, have some fun, I guess. I don't
attributed more brain thought than most of these people.
I think like, well, I think there's two different conversations, right? I think there's two conversations, and I don't want to get them conflated because I don't want this to be one of those moments where it's like, you fucking alien, here we go, right? But
is you saying that or is I saying that?
the hypothetical straw man that I'm creating over here that is currently typing into the chat. The straw man that is here at the keyboard actually that exists. No, all I'm trying to say is that like with any game, if I'm learning the ropes, but I'm also like trying to focus on and like get in, like handle details that are way too intimidating, like you're just getting into like a character action game and you're only focused on how to fucking distorted real impact and then guard fly and get your, you know what I mean? Never mind triple S-ing anything, never mind being stylish, like you're trying, you know what I mean, you're trying to work on these like it's like, well, we got to start somewhere, and that place should usually be having some fun, right? That's it. So if like that's not a thing, or if other people, if some people like approach things in different ways where they're like, I've never learned anything about the games I play besides just what is meta, and like you stick to that and you go all in and that's how you play it. I will say that with fighting games, it's going to be probably a little more tricky if you like only focus on the really difficult elements, but ignore all the most simple things that come before that, you know?
Bro, I'm thinking about Gene when we were playing Night Rain, and how he just like cut forth to the ultimate truth of the world. And
it feels good when you win and it sucks when you lose.
It is the best when you win, and this game sucks ass when you lose.
Yes.
And I feel like the problem with that happens with that with fighting games is that when you're like, well, is it about having fun? And to most people, winning and having fun are literally the same thing.
I just want to, like, walking out of here, I just want to say that in that hypothetical, the person who's picking Sagat is not who I'm talking to. That person is playing their game and doing their thing, and go nuts, have fun, play, let's enjoy it. The person who's standing there going, why would you ever pick that version of Sagat? You're picking the wrong one. Fuck that guy. You're an asshole. You suck. You're a problem. I hate that.
The problem.
Right?
Here's the problem.
That's the person that I'm putting shade on.
Do you remember? Okay, I know that guy. We've all met that guy. The problem with that guy is that for a good amount of time, they're going to beat you because they know just a little bit more. And that's where their shithead personality comes from.
Okay, well, whatever, man. Like, that's cool.
Now it's time to fight.
Yeah, sometimes there are villains in you know, sometimes not every FGC player is an upstanding dude.
What? That's crazy. I thought everybody in the fighting games
the talent and the there is, you know, it is not a one-to-one correlation. You would be surprised. There are some villains out there. However, if you're like, if we're talking to the person that's just picking to fucking have some fun, and you're getting on their case over what they're picking or whatever, and this is like the least, you know what I mean, this is just a very like not competitive circumstance or environment. What the fuck are you doing? Shut up. Let's have fun, you know?
I can't wait to play Street Fighter with my son and him being like, oh, can I win? And me just go, no. Why'd you pick 12? You know 12 sucks.
And so the other right, and so the other part of this is I can only imagine that like the experience of, let's say, a fucking Warzone lobby, right?
Yeah.
Is like you jump in, and if you're on a team or you're grabbing the wrong loadout, or you know what I mean? You're or back in the day, the noob tubes or whatever the fuck it is.
Bro.
And
like the grand innovation of the battle royale is that it lets like 60 or 70% of players in a 100-person match feel like they won to some degree.
Okay.
Like that is like the genius of Battle Royale, is that like it disseminates the feeling of winning across a huge variety of players.
So there's that part of it, and then I guess there's the part of it where it's like from the jump you are meant to internalize and get used to the level of toxic bile that will always be there and just learn to float on it, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what you sort of have to do in those situations. I mean, in a situation like this, what we're describing, where it's not half the lobby going nuts over what you're doing or what weapon you're picking or how you're playing or whatever the normal case is, but it's one asshole in the room who you can tell to fuck off. It's pretty easy to solve that problem, you know?
Man, I've never heard or seen anyone speak in a battle royale game, but I can feel their toxic vibes through the screen with their soul just permeate. Like you could fucking feel it. Similarly, I've never spoken with my voice to somebody in League of Legends, and even if they're not typing, you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel they're just like sewage just radiating off their body.
Yeah, I mean, rage quitting, and there's like, griefers and shit that you encounter online and when you go on playing fighting games online and stuff. But if we're talking about a situation where you're like, yeah, you're going to be in a lobby where a bunch of people are just going to call you the worst things on planet Earth every time you log in, and it's like, you just ignore that and you play regardless, but then enough people will win that you'll feel good about the outcomes and it won't really matter that much in the end. It's like, you have to deaden something a little bit inside there, I guess.
You've played a bunch of multiplayer games over your life.
A couple,
What do you? This is kind of a granular, like focused in question. What group of players do you feel are the angriest you've ever played with, like in a game, like Marvel people or Mortal Kombat people or Halo, or like just like you can feel just white hot rage coming off them, even if they don't speak, like just moving their character. You're just like, for me, it has to be Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight is like the angriest I've ever seen players move around an environment, even though I can't hear them. Even though it's crazy.
I think the most toxicity I've ever felt in a public sort of open situation, because I really haven't put myself in that type of situation often. Maybe Overwatch 1.
Oh yeah.
Overwatch original was
get off my pick.
Absolutely. Because I got used to playing it with the Black Gift folks and had some good times playing with the group, and then a couple times I'd be like, damn, I need to work on my aim, I got to get better, and so let me just queue up when other people are not around. So I did some solo queuing, and I think Overwatch original is where it felt the worst. Yeah,
that was so toxic, man.
It was literally every single game.
Every single game, every single person. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
Without fail. But at the same time, I mean, again, I didn't jump into a Modern Warfare 2 lobby, back in the 360 era. Like, I've heard tale. I've heard legends,
I think what like really ups it for Dead by Daylight is that it's 4v1, right? And then you can only speak at the very end. You can only speak, after the match is over. And like sometimes people are mad at you. As like I primarily play killer, right? And people say, "Oh, you fucking asshole, you tunneled me," which means like following one person consistently. But like more often than not, it would be like the team of survivors just throwing blame on each other for losing, just just crabs eating themselves in the bucket, which so
It's
mad.
like the people who are talking shit to you from the opposing team, you know, is one. That's one layer of just like, all right,
Yeah,
man, whatever you have to do to get through your day. But the ones who are on your
ones
team,
on your team,
who are just like, holy fuck, I can't believe this Zarya is so garbage. Why? Like, bro. Oh my god. Yeah, just whew. Oh. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying to shield properly. I'm sorry. Can I yeah. There's only so much labbing I can do on my own before I have to take it into a live environment and get some real practice in, guys.
I will say League of Legends and Dead by Daylight are the only games I've played in which people will take their ball and just sit at home. Or like they will get so mad at what's going on and they will get so like unwilling to quit because they don't want the rage penalties that they will just idle their character in like a dangerous spot. And that's where feeding comes from.
Oh, right. Feeding. I'm gonna feed if you don't fucking.
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna just feed the fucking other team.
Yeah,
or I'm gonna just run straight towards the killer and just have them take me out of the fucking game right now.
So this brings us to today, where I don't know if this is actually the case or not, but if you were to tell me on paper that there is going to be a team-based, multiple people connect together and play footy, soccer, online together, I would say that Rematch by Slow Clap has the potential to be the most toxic possible environment on planet Earth, just by nature of what the activity is and how many people are on it. But I don't know if that's actually the case. You know?
So here's the thing. As we all know, soccer/footy fans are very well-adjusted, sober people who don't cause trouble.
Yeah, totally not Asbos. None of them.
It would be expected for the people playing digital soccer/digital footy to be well behaved and sober. And I have been checking out the reviews for Rematch.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is antisocial behavior not a thing that's used anymore? Is that old school? Is that okay? I am not aware. I am not aware. Excuse me.
And the reviews for Rematch are: this game is incredible. Only play it with a pre-made group. The fucking mouth-breathing idiots people that it will match you up to are so stupid. They will ruin your game.
Right.
They're awful.
Right. And I guess
the nature of playing pickup any game.
Okay.
Like in meat space.
Did you? So you jumped on?
No, I have not.
No. Okay. Because I need to know if there's an open mic lobby, and I need to know if there are people yelling, and I need to know if you can understand what they're saying. And is it every language of all of the world?
I hope it.
Right? Are we hearing the strongest Italian cusses and the biggest, strongest Englands and all of the Germans and all of the Brazilians going full speed at each other? Right? Because I kind of imagine that game has the potential. It's a fucking soccer game where you only control your one player. You know? That can get infinite toxicity going.
People are saying, yeah, that you can open your mic and hear people from other countries.
Okay, so you could get hit with Carallo in one ear and Sikya in the other.
Good.
At the same time from both sides, and you're on the same team.
I'm thinking maybe if soccer wasn't so boring, people wouldn't get so drunk watching it because they'd actually get to be excited.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, you know, you get used to 0-0, I guess. And, you know, you get used to things.
Wow, you really gave it your all out there, boys. 0. Good job.
The pitch is large, you know? And we gotta sell these non-injuries.